and also the way that I kind of view things. And that's one thing that I wanted to, reach out to you. And that's why I put that message inside of my members area to like ask you guys, like, have you happened to you? And I think what's really important about that is like, sometimes it's like the event that happens. And then also sometimes it's like we could have responded maybe in a different way and stuff like that. So I have a little interesting story that I just wanted to kind of share, because I think the meaning that I've drawn from this event really, I think it kind of sets up the way that not only my life has turned out, but also the way that like I think approached mathematics and learned mathematics. And so I think it's something special. I think it's something interesting that I can share with you that hopefully you guys can go ahead and draw some insight on. So before I get into that, hey, Ralph, I want to make sure I got this. Why is it not popping up? I just reset my computer too. That's why I was a little bit late. So I do apologize for that. But I get into it and I was seeing like, I just reset. This is online, but I wanted to get my, come on. It's giving my eCam is like everything. Like once I reset my computer, then everything was gone. So if there's like a little delay, let me know about this. It is, I have no idea why everything's going a little bit slower. So I'm getting a much big delay on my feedback at the moment. So I'm hoping that it's just something that is showing up on my end, but it's saying that the Clean My Mac is not responding. Jeez. Okay. So if you want to let me know if everything's coming through on the stream, okay, or not, let me know. I'm just going to hold off here for a little bit before I get the non-spinning beach ball. Because I can't even pull up any of your chat or anything at the moment. This is so annoying. Okay. Everything's fine on my end. Okay, that's good. And I guess I'm assuming the resolution is all coming in okay as well, like and the sound and everything. It's just, I just have this spinning meatball or beach ball, not that. So, okay. That's just annoying. So I guess I'll just continue on. So, but I have to be able to push in your guys' comments. That's so annoying. Actually, let me try. I don't need this. I can maybe do. That should be running just in the back end though. So I don't know why that would be an issue, but maybe let's just close that down. Maybe let's close that down. Can't imagine they're making a difference. All right. I just want to make sure I can. There you go, chat. Okay. Let me do that one more time. Okay, cool. Well, hey, Gabe, good to have you on. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Cool. All right. I'm doing well. I had enough for a week for my 4 weeks wisdom teeth. Ooh, ouch. Good for you. Okay. So let's go into it. So let's go and talk about this event, and let's go and talk about how this changed things and how this kind of framed the way that I think, let's go and talk about the way that how this kind of framed, I think, how my life a little bit turned out. So to kind of give you guys a little backstory, some of you have, I've heard or, watched some of my older videos where I kind of talk a little bit about my story. But, one thing to know about me, like I was all into sports. That's what I used to like. I always did. Like growing up, I just played sport after sport after sport. And I usually like to kind of try everything, but football, wrestling, and baseball were like my big thing. And I think actually, I wrestled since like first grade, obviously football once I started in like 7th grade, and baseball, something, I played like from as early as, T-ball all the way up. Never stopped. I was always playing a sport. So when I was in freshman year, those were like my 3 sports: football, wrestling, and baseball. And thankfully, like my school is small enough and I was like good enough, I guess, to be brought up to the varsity and actually lettered in, I think, football and wrestling. I didn't letter in baseball, but I did get brought up to the varsity. And I even played in a couple of varsity games, but I didn't earn a letter, which I was a little upset about because I ended up lettering for the rest of all the other sports for the rest of the years. And that was the one letter I didn't make. So I got 11 letters through my high school career. But anyway, so freshman year, I was just doing sports. I cared about like grades, but I really only cared about grades to like just make sure I was always eligible, like, and doing good. But like sports was like my main focus. So I had freshman year, I like basically never took a break. I was always going from one sport to next. Like I never rode the bus. I remember after like my freshman year, I rode the bus like twice. Like literally that was the only 2 times that I had ridden the bus. Like I was always staying after school for some kind of sport going on. So then so then I remember like sophomore year, it's the same thing going on. And obviously like I was much like, I was producing or, much more, having much more impact on my sport. So I was, I think I was starting, I think in all those sports, like as my sophomore year for all the varsity programs. And I remember, it's so weird how you remember some of these things about your childhood, but I remember distinctively wishing I could get hurt. Now it's kind of weird for me to say this, but the point, what I was trying to make was I was like wishing that I could like take a break. Like I never missed a practice. I never missed a game. I was at everything. And it was just like this internal, like I remember kids would like, I don't know, break their arm or like, they get sick. Like they were always, there was always seemed like somebody else could always get a break. And I was just never in. And now, and again, there's a part of me like, unless you're going to carry me off the field, like I was always going to play. Like I would go through pain and, sports was my everything. Well, it was so crazy that, my end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I remember my back started to hurt. And it was something that was my pain. I'm like, I'm going to work through this. And I remember like it got really bad. And I remember playing summer league baseball. I was in travel. And this is how crazy this was. I still remember this. I could barely even run to first base. Like my back was just really, really bad shape. But it was a uber competitive like baseball team. And so we were traveling, kind of all over the state. And I was like determined, like I couldn't quit. Like this is, I was trying to make a name for myself. And I remember one time I was like playing shortstop. And my range though, as a shortstop was maybe like 2 feet either way. Like I could barely move. And I remember there's one ball that came into me, like I dove, like got up, threw the guy out, whatever. And it's like, good game. But I was like, I literally couldn't move. Like, I mean, the only reason I had to dive because I literally couldn't even move side to side. Like I was in bad shape. I remember hitting the ball. I could barely even run to first base. And like, I think eventually like that kind of came to me. I'm like, all right, I got to maybe slow down. Maybe I think I eventually like mid-year, I kind of stopped. But the other thing I didn't stop was like working construction. So, I used to work every summer I was working hard construction, a shovel, I was just always out and about, like doing hard grunt work basically. And what happened was as I'm going through this, like kind of grunt work, going through there, I remember my back was just hurting, but I was like, I'm going to work through this. And so I started playing junior year football and eventually, never mind. I was able to play all through junior year football. I was able to get through junior year. I played through the pain, but I remember it was when I came in through, I played junior year football season, but I remember when I went to wrestling practice and I'll never forget this. I remember I was like, once, cause wrestling, you're always like tweaking your body and going everything like that. I remember once I got to wrestling practice, I was like, I can't do this. My back, there's something wrong with my back. And sure enough, what happened was I had a stress fracture. I had been overusing and abusing my back. And yeah, I basically had to stop immediately at that point. There was not going to be a wrestling season. There was not going to be a baseball season. And this was my junior year, right? So this was kind of like, an important, kind of an important year, especially sports. And it was really tough. I remember I had to wear a back brace. I couldn't do anything. I could not finish the year with those sports. I remember I gained like a lot of weight and I just had to stop. And I remember like it sucked. It sucked a lot. And I kind of, I had gained a lot of weight. I got very depressed because like everything that I knew about myself, everything that I knew that I cared about had basically like been taken away. And like that whole thought of like, hey, I wish I got like injured had come true. And I just not until like I got injured, take off a week, like I was in a body brace, basically a brace around my body. And I couldn't do anything about it. Like, so that's where when I talk about like my, like not caring about math and not caring about stuff, like that's when that kind of started because I was like depressed. Like I had nothing to like, I wouldn't say nothing to live for, but like nothing to work for, like everything that I really cared about that always motivated me, didn't motivate me anymore. And, it was really tough to come through there. Now, fortunately for me, I was able to go through rehab. I was able to come back for my senior year, and I was able to play actually my senior year football, wrestling, and baseball. But things were never the same. And that's why I talk about in this video, like that moment, like that break in my back, that immediately like that stop and like, no, you cannot play these sports anymore. It had a huge impact on my life because here's what it told me. It told me a couple of things. And this is what actually the lesson that the whole reason why I thought about this. And I was like, this could be something that would be valuable for you. And the reason why I think it's valuable for you, because I've taught so many students that have gone through something like this, where they feel like they have to follow a certain path. Sometimes it's their parents, sometimes it's their culture, sometimes it's their upbringing, and they feel like that is just the path that they have to go ahead and follow, right? That is what is meant for them. That is designed for them. That is what they know. So therefore, that is the only way. And sometimes it, unfortunately, like it has to take a circumstance to like, kind of hit you beside the head and like, no, those do not have to define your life, define who you are in there. And like taking away sports from me was painful. It was horrible. Like I didn't know what else to, I didn't really know how else to like respond to that. But what I did understand was like sports, like what that taught me was that sports is not my whole life. Sports is not what everything is around. I can be much more than sports. I can, obviously go and like, or there's much more to life than sports and everything like that. And that was pretty important. That was pretty cool. Like pretty important, pretty cool. What was important about that was, it taught me to like look for other opportunities, and I think about this, like if I would have kept on playing sports, like I guarantee, like I just probably would have became like a coach or just would have focused on sports. Like I don't think I ever would have gone to my university. I probably went to like a smaller school and like played sports. I don't know. I just would have I would have kept on going down that same path of like sports, because that's all I knew. That's all I cared about. But taking me away from that, I realized like there's so much more than life than sports. I still enjoy sports. Like I played rugby, obviously repping like my rugby, shirt. Like I played rugby for years. I did coach and some sports after that. But I don't think sports was ever as important as it was to me until before I got that, injury. I used to watch sports all the time. And like, now like I can go without caring so much about sports or like what's on TV and stuff like that. Like I still enjoy it, but I'm not as like a fanatic as I used to be. And I think that's really important for students to realize like sports didn't have to define my life. I wanted them to, and I allowed them to. But a lot of times students, when they get like a grade on a test or, depending on how they're doing or whatever else, like they let them define that's who they are and that's who they're supposed to be. And I think it's tough for me to be able to say like, this is the way you're supposed to do it, or this is the way you want to allow. I think the only thing that I can bring to you is, keep an open mind. Just, listen to your body, listen to circumstances that happen, and don't be afraid to follow a path that, kind of seems a little, sometimes scary, seems a little unconventional, seems something that you're not used to, that you're maybe not sure is like the right path. And maybe, maybe it'll take you somewhere where you're going to further investigate. Maybe it'll something, that you'll not. But I think it is something that we want to be careful of feeling like we always have to go down this certain path just because that's the way things have always been. Right. Or that's the way things are. I want you to explore things. I don't want you to feel defined. I can't even tell you how many times students are like, well, I have to get an A because I have to go to a good college. Right. Why do I have to go to a good college? Well, because I have to go to a good grade. Like, I have to have a good job. Like, it's like, they're just following everything from their parents, all this pressure and stress from their parents. If they get a B, I remember, a student crying to me, like, I cannot go home with a B. I'm going to stay here, at your desk until you change my grade. And I was like, this is going to be very awkward because I'm not going to change your grade. So you're going to have to go home with a B. And I remember the student, like, the anxiety that they had, they were shaking and crying because they were so afraid to go home because they got this like B. I might have actually been a C. I don't remember the exact circumstance, but they were like, very, very distraught, over having that. And again, like I'm a big proponent of like doing your best and like, having high expectations and everything for sure. But I also could feel like that, like, yes, we do a lot in our society of, putting a lot of high pressure on those students. But that student was, I think they were allowing that grade to define like who they were, what they're capable of. They're letting their parents define who they were, and I would not be in the place that I was if I allowed, sports to be like my number one, right? Sports is very, very low down. Like obviously some of the best times of my life have come from sports and the people I've met through sports, but being good at sports or being a part of sports is like, it doesn't define me at all. And I was only able to learn about, I think I was only able to, tell my story about, math and like, struggling in math because I got hurt and because I didn't care about school, right? I was only able to, look into different aspects of like online teaching and stuff like that, where, because I wasn't immersed in just only talking about sports. I mean, that was always my life. So getting out of that, finding something different, looking for different opportunities and, to grow from having a struggle or having something that I thought was so detrimental was really, really positive, because I feel like that's definitely the reason, or the start, the beginning, the change that I had to kind of get to where I am. So hopefully this is a little beneficial for you. Really the main message is, don't let your parents, don't let somebody else define, who you are, what you're capable of. Don't let a grade, don't let a class define who you're capable of. Okay. You have a long life to go. And I remember I thought I was down in the dumps my junior year of high school. Like I thought I was never going to recover from this. And to me, it was now looking back at it, it's like, wow, that was a very, very small blip in my life, but it did change the trajectory. So, look for when I thought something was so bad, could have been so worse, I can only see the positives that event has brought to me, except for a little back pain, which I'm kind of going through right now. But let's not talk about back pain, because I got like an MRI going on tomorrow. So, this whole thing could come full circle again. I had to make this video before going back to them, but yeah, that goes from there. So, all right. Well, anyways, if you guys do have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you guys have on the chat. And then I might be able to get into some math questions. Actually, I didn't have time to open up the math questions, but if you do have any math questions that you want to go into, then you can go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. And if you want me to pop that up, I can do that. Oh, there it is. There we go. Or if you have a question, let me see if I can put this over here. Oh, that's annoying. Okay. So if you have any questions, go to or math questions, go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Or you can also go ahead and join the Discord server, and you guys can post math questions over there, where I have a ton of students that are available, able to help you guys out and answer questions over there. I think that's in the chat, right? I think I have that pinned. Did I not pin that? I did pin that. Okay. So everything's cool is pinned. It's in the chat. It is also in the description of this. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that down. And let's go and get into questions that you guys had posted inside the chat. So if you have any questions, I don't know, about this scenario or about anything that you're going through in math and, schooling, then let me know and I'll be happy to help you out. Let me see. Where's this going? Everything's fine on your end. Okay, cool. I don't know why. Your videos help me lots with my son's math. Well, awesome. Well, it's very interesting. And I'm so happy to be able to I'm kind of curious, how does that kind of work? Like when you're helping with your son with your math, is it like something like you watch and then you help your son teach it? Or is it like something you guys watch together? I'm always kind of curious, the way that obviously my daughters are very young. So we haven't really got to that point of needing help online, but I'm always kind of curious to how people kind of work through getting help in math, with their children, and you're especially on my videos that are pretty much very kind of short to the point, kind of from that long. And if you kind of watch them together, follow through, take your notes, or if it's something maybe you've just kind of search as you need. I've always kind of been interested on that. Sasmet, did you play golf? So I did play golf a little bit. Actually, I wasn't really good at golf. I was never good at golf. But it was weird that you mentioned this comment, because my recent back injury kind of coincides with me beginning to start playing golf again. So I've always been relatively good at sports, but baseball was always one of my number one. So golf was always something that I just my golf swing and my baseball swing, they didn't mix very well, unfortunately. So it was funny, recently I've actually been trying to because obviously I'm not playing baseball. So I'm all right, let me try to really work on my golf swing. So I was actually doing a lot of golf last year. just practicing, trying to get my swing. And that was actually one of the things that kind of like my back started tweaking. I was like, oh crap, I think this might be something that is impacting my new back injury that I have. But I played golf. I used to only play maybe once or twice a year, like nothing crazy. I wasn't very good. I still not very good, but it is something that I still actually really do enjoy though. Play the song. Okay. All right, let me go and see. Well, if you guys don't have any questions here, let me go and see if there's any questions on the math questions. But if you guys do have a question, feel free to add some on there. All right, here we go, Gabe. Thank you so much. How should I practice for my quiz on solving square root functions? So, I don't know what exactly is on your quiz for square root functions. I think one thing when you are simplifying, if you're going to be simplifying square root functions, like you need to know like what the square numbers are, right? So, know your 4, your 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, right? 81, 100, right? Like, so make sure you know how to simplify square roots. Also, especially make sure you know how to do that with your variable expressions as well. So I think that's like a good practice of like knowing those numbers. That's something where a lot of students will get mixed up on. If you're going to be doing anything with like graphing, just make sure you know what the parent graph is, like know how to find points on that graph. And then obviously you're going to be dealing with transformations on the parent graph. So if there's anything in particular, they would say, I think those are just like two concepts that I'd say to study. And then obviously like study your homework, like whatever concepts your teacher's been going over on your homework ahead of your quiz, like review that, go over, practice those problems again, and best of luck on your quiz. Why is that not showing up on there? That's weird. My favorite MLM team or MLB team is the Detroit Tigers because I reign from Michigan. And so I grew up watching the Detroit Tigers. So they're definitely my favorite and something I still kind of like keep in touch with and just kind of watch, and see how they're doing, stuff like that. My favorite song, which is a really, really weird, No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. I don't know why it's my favorite song. But I can only say, like, when I was in college, same kind of thing. It was on my Winamp playlist. And I remember I used to listen to it, like, every day for whatever reason. That's, like, always what I used to listen to. And it became one of my favorite songs. And then, oddly enough, when I got a Christmas present from my YouTube partner, they gave me a Bob Marley record. And guess what? It was his like greatest hits, and it had No Woman, No Cry. And I was like, that's so weird how you decided that, but it was like the perfect gift. Eli, that is a very, very deep question. I love it. I'm probably not the best to be able to answer that, but I do think that it is something that I think a lot of us, kind of struggle with, definitely nowadays. And I think a lot of times we look for external things to find our meaning. And I think a lot of it is, really comes from that internal discovery of ourselves and, what makes us happy, what do we want to achieve in life? And, I think it comes with our experiences, but also sometimes like stepping back, slowing down, thinking, having like some like quiet space and just understanding, analyzing things. I think sometimes we're so used to things moving so fast, and a lot of times we just don't really like allow ourselves time to breathe and our brain to really like comprehend things. I don't have a full answer for you, but I hope maybe that can like help you just to slow down. And I think that that can help you find some meaning from there. Claire says, how do you know when to check if there are extraneous solutions? So an extraneous solution is a solution to a simplified equation that is not a solution to the original equation. So a lot of times we'll get extraneous solutions when we have like logarithms on both sides or when we square both sides. I think what the main thing that you're going to want to look for is, always just checking your answer. I mean, that's like the best answer. I mean, we learned this from like Algebra 1, right? You know how to solve things. Like go back and check your answers. Make sure that they work, right? Because again, a lot of times when we have a simplified answer, which is going to be, let's say when you have a simplified answer that's like a different function than like your original function, or if you're doing something that, kind of kind of be a little wonky, like just go back and check your answers, plug them back in, right? And make sure that they satisfy your original equation. And if they do, then they're not extraneous. If they satisfy a simplified equation, but not the original, then they are extraneous. So I would just recommend just go back. I mean, there's obviously for different types of functions and equations, there are little tips to look for, but I think your best bet is just to go back and plug it in and, go from there. Why does guy acting like he's a math, like he a math teacher? What a nerd. I am a nerd. I mean, I always used to tell students, like, you guys should feel sorry for me, right? I mean, just imagine what I do. I wake up every single day and what do? I do math over and over and over. I mean, I have over 12,000 videos uploaded on YouTube, and that's just from what I've uploaded. I mean, that's not even close to how many math problems like I've solved and done, right? And look what I do now. Like I stepped away from the classroom and now I just record math videos. Like I'm doing a live stream on math. Like I am a nerd and it's okay. I accept it. Thank you for helping me get through every math class I've ever taken. Went from B's to A's. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out, Joshua. So Gabe says, how do you memorize all the different 1,000 identities for integrals for Calc 2? Final. Well, I'm not a big believer in memorizing formulas because obviously I think we can all agree you're not going to use them in real life, right? But obviously you are going to use them on a math final or a math test. So you got to find some balance there, and that's reality. What I like to do is, one, apply them as much as possible. So therefore, making sure you're doing your work, making sure you're doing review problems, like use them as much as possible. And then two, I like to go ahead and write them down on a cheat sheet. I like, again, if you are doing anything where where you do have a ton of content that it is literally just memorizing, flashcards do, they have worked for a reason. Maybe flashcards might work. I always told my students to create a cheat sheet, write down all the formulas, everything down, like write them down. And if you do a cheat sheet correctly, you're doing it for your test, you're doing it for an exam, you're doing it for a final. So therefore, you're probably writing the formulas down like 3 or 4 times. You're doing it on your homework, you're doing it inside class. Like you basically almost have it internalized. Another word for memorized. So I'm not a big proponent of memorizing stuff that you're not going to use, but I do understand like a lot of stuff you are going to have to apply it. So I would recommend writing it down on a cheat sheet. And if it's a lot of content, maybe using some flashcards to help you out. It's a tried and true. Nice to see you're doing well. Thank you for helping me with my son with his math homework. It was a real struggle before I found your channel. Well, awesome. We're also happy to help you out. Thank you. What is the biggest change in your life? Well, I'm assuming you didn't go back or maybe you're just joining in late. So I recommend going back because I obviously did talk about it for a lot of times, but to kind of give it to you in a nutshell, the biggest change in my life was really actually when I got hurt in sports and I could no longer play sports when I was in high school. And the reason why this was a big change is because up until that point, my whole life revolved around playing sports. Like that's all I thought about. That's all I cared about. And once I got hurt and I could no longer play sports, it was ripped away from me. Like I was depressed. I didn't care about school, right? But one thing that it taught me was like my life and who I am and who I'm defined for and what I care about is not defined by me being able to play sports. I had to find different meaning for my life. I had to find different things that I was interested in. And that is what turned me to this journey that I am now currently on, right? And so that is my kind of advice to you as well. Like, don't let who you feel you are, or who you think your parents want you to be, or anything else, define who you are, right? You have to be able to, go out there and explore things and like find your own meaning and reasoning, for doing things. And don't just feel like you have to do things just because that's the standard quo. So hopefully that makes sense and helps you out. Jose says, hi, Brian. I got to say is that your videos have helped me all types of math, SAT, and regular school tests. Hope you're doing amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to help you out. Mr. Brian, help me converting a quadratic formula to a vertex. Vertex, please. I'm not sure what you mean. You're going to have to maybe resubmit that or maybe resubmit it into my Google form. Again, if you go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, you can submit it there. And I'm more than happy to take a look, but I'm not really sure if I understand your question fully. How do I understand solving logarithms on both sides? So my best piece of advice, if you have a logarithm on both sides, is get your logarithms to the same side. Once you get your logarithms to the same side, then use your properties of logarithms to condense it down to one logarithm. So you are correct. Like when you solve logarithms, you don't want them on both sides. You want to get them onto the same side, but use your properties of logarithms to condense it down to 1. Did you ever do SAT? And if so, what was your best score? I did take the SAT. And again, that was kind of during my junior year, right? So remember that time I was telling you, like, I didn't really care about life? Well, it was. I didn't really care about the SAT. I didn't really care about the ACT. I didn't do very well. I don't know what my score was, but I know it wasn't good. It did get me into a college, into like a university. So I mean, it was good enough, but it didn't get me into my #1 university, which was Michigan State University. And I think their reasoning was I actually had a low ACT score. I don't remember my ACT score, but it was good. It wasn't good enough though. And so, yeah, that was kind of a little depressing as well. Is true mastery of math done without using notes? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you mean, true mastery. You know, I guess you'd have to really define what true mastery of math, means. Because I don't think we can ever truly master math, right? I mean, and even truly mastering like a concept or anything else, like, I don't even think that is something that we can achieve. Like, obviously you can understand a concept, like get 100% and blah, 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 like on a test. But would we still say you considered like that true mastery? So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can even answer that question fully, like without purposely defining like true mastery. Type it into a calculator. Literally doing my math homework right now. Thanks on the knowledge of finding the mins and the max and verses. Well, you are very welcome. So happy to be able to help you out. All right, let me go and see. It looks like I do have some individual math questions. So let me go and see if I can answer some of those for you guys. And then if you guys do have any math questions, or any other normal questions, like feel free just to, post them here on the chat. I'll come back to these as well and see if I can answer them. Some of these questions for you guys as well. All right. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I still wouldn't say just because you can do math without doing notes, I wouldn't say that's true mastery. I mean, yeah, I guess that's good. That's what I guess I'd prefer you have, but I don't know. I don't think that's, excuse me. From there. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would, to answer your question quickly, yes, I guess mastery would come from doing work without having notes in front of you, having to follow your notes, right? But I wouldn't say like just having notes or, using notes would not mean that you can't master a concept and subject. Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult answer, I guess, or a different response, I guess, for me to put into words fully. All right, so let me go and see what questions I can upload. Oh my God, what are you guys doing? Oh, this one was saying like I made a mistake. Yeah, I know I made a mistake. Zario. Yep, I know about that. Actually, I think I fixed that, so I'm going to keep that, but just in case I didn't. Yeah, I did make the correction. All right. If you could please verify this identity. Great. You want me verifying identities? I did that one. Didn't I do that? All right. Here, hold on a second. I think I have this like in my... I think I literally just recorded this video, Araf. I'm not sure if you're still on, but I think I literally did this. Maybe I'll go and see if I can upload this for tomorrow's video. That'd be funny. Let me see. I'm almost positive I did that. I just got to try to find the thumbnail here. So hold on a second. That was a while ago though. Not that one. I remember literally doing that. I know I've done that video. So, or I know I've done that problem. I guess maybe I didn't do that problem. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll take a look at it. Let's see what we got here. I'll play around with it. Hopefully it's... Oh, was this the one that I think I was trying to work on this one. I don't know. Come on. There you go. Oh, that's why. All right. Like log 2 to the power of 6 times log 6. Casey, if you want to go ahead and submit that to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, that'd be a lot easier for me to be able to see that and be able to properly respond to you. It's just very difficult trying to read math problems in the text. All right. So here's a question that I got, and I'll just give it to you. So, hello, I'm currently a junior in high school, and I'm rather curious about courses taken in specific years and risks taken. So I currently have an 83% in accelerated gifted pre-calculus as a junior. But when juxtaposed to someone who has a 90 to 100% in Algebra 2 in their junior year, which is supposed easier, would it hurt my chances of anything? I'm not sure. So I'm currently a junior, and I'm rather curious about courses taken in specific years. So I'm currently as a junior. I mean, I think you're fine. I don't know what you mean. Having chances. What chance are you talking about? Like calculus, college? Like I don't know what your chances mean, but I think you're doing fine. You know, you're an accelerated pre-calculus as a junior. Like that's fine. I think you can be very successful in maybe calculus next year. Like, I don't know what your question referring to. So if you want to maybe elaborate and submit again, I'll be happy to do that for you. Sorry, there may be shortcuts in my writing because I was translating my dictionary. My problem is, why is it analyzed this way? Okay. I have no idea. I can't understand. It's sideways and it's way too much writing. Probability. No, I don't want to do probability. Hate probability. And I don't know how to work this file. Okay. Or how don't I work this? A certain line has a slope of 3 and contains a point 0.05. Which of the following are on the same line? Okay. All right, let's see what we can come up with. I like this question. Okay. Casey, again, go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, take a picture of it, submit it. It's a lot easier for me to answer your question like that. But maybe somebody, or go to Discord, submit it there, or maybe somebody can help you in the chat. All right, but I love this question. So, text says, do you think students should just understand a teacher's teaching style rather than just watch them explain the concept? Wait a minute, let me say this again. Do you think students should also understand a teacher's teaching style rather than just watch them explain the concept? I'm not really sure what you mean fully exactly in this question, but there's a couple things that, come to mind. One, I do think it is important that students are presented with different teaching styles, because I don't think everything is going to be, like a streamlined version in life. That's just not the way things are going to be. We're going to relate and we're going to understand certain people better than others. That is just I think, a part of the learning process and a part of like the life process as well. So I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect, like everybody should teach exactly this way and everything needs to be like this way. It's just, it's ideal, but it's like, it's something that is like never going to be, I think it's an unrealistic attainment for us to kind of work towards or try to obtain. The other thing is also understanding teachers' teaching style, but I also don't feel like, I think one of the best things about like online learning that we've had is like students shouldn't have to be forced to be learning like based on like, our students shouldn't have to struggle just because they're in a course or in a class that that they're with the teacher that's like not being helpful for them. Right. So, I mean, I want you to understand there's something a little bit different of like a teacher that is maybe has a different teaching style that is not the best for you compared to a teacher that's like hurting your chances or your understanding of the content. I don't think it makes sense for us to have to be stuck in a class where we can't learn the material because there is such a a disconnect between us and the teacher in that regard. Now, I don't like the idea of, I don't like this teacher, let me just go and get a different class or a different, whatever. But I do feel like I do feel like we have the technology and the resources to provide students with all students with a quality education. I just am only fearful of us using that also as a crutch of like having teachers to all be the same. Like, no, we want, just like every student has their unique characteristics, like our teachers have our unique characteristics. And just because there's a teaching style that we don't like, or maybe is not going to be the best for us, I think it's important to have to go through that, to have to struggle a little bit with that. Like that's, I think it's something very, very important for us to be able to sometimes overcome. And again, like there's a fine line here, right? And I don't think teachers need to have this much weight or this much power over their students' grade, and the fact that that can be kind of like manipulated. But I do think it's really, really important for us to be exposed and also have to learn how to, work with different teachers and teaching styles. So that doesn't answer your question correctly. But I do think that there is a measure of reasonability, or I don't even know what that word is, that students like do need to like learn different teaching styles and how teachers, and even the teachers they don't like and don't teach as well as like their next like teacher, like that, like, yeah. But I also feel like there's, on the flip side of that though, I am also a big proponent of like, having quality teachers. And if you don't have, and there's not a quality teacher that is not, living up to the standards, not just not getting your grade you want, but it's like, is not a high quality teacher. Like we should all make sure we're providing access for students to get a high quality education. So hopefully that kind of answers what you're referring to. I use eCam. Kev, I have a ton of questions on substitution. If you want to go and check them out, just look up substitution. You'll see a lot. Would just like to say I found your channel on Friday and you are getting me through my college into algebra with radicals right now. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out. Best of luck. Any tips to not stress for a retake test? I think my tips for not stressing for a retake test are the same tips I'm going to give you for a test. Okay. You just got to go through, like, at least with the retake, you have the option to like look at the mistakes you made, hopefully, right? And like redo them, overcome them, understand where you made the mistakes, right? And just, kind of know yourself, know what your strengths are, know what you're struggling with, right? And know what you want to focus your time on. I think the same thing kind of goes to my talk of like, don't let a test define you, right? Do the best you can do, prepare for it the best you can, but then move on. Right? It's not one test or one grade is ever going to define your life and who you're going to be. So do the best you can do, study for it the best you can, and then move on. All right. So let's go back to the questions. I thought I had the questions. Uh-oh. I didn't delete that, did I? No. Oh, God. Stupid. Okay. How do your students behave so well in your videos? Well, not all my videos. I think you maybe want to look back in like my previous videos, like my early ones, probably from like 2010 to, I don't know, 2014. My classroom manager was pretty poor. Students would be on their phones, students would be talking, students would swearing. Obviously, I was teaching different classes as well. Like my later years, I was teaching a little bit more honors and older classes, whereas my beginning years, I was teaching like, freshman and sophomore and like more standard classes. So you're going to get a little bit different, demographics, obviously in those two classes, like freshman and standard versus upper level and honors class courses. But yeah, I think in general, like I was just trying to be laid back with my students. I mean, you guys get an insight of my classroom and what it was, for me. But also I try to be, firm with my students. I just want to make sure I guess they knew what to expect and I was fair with them. But I always I wanted them to enjoy coming into class. I never wanted for them to like stress over coming into a math class or fear it for that reason. Do you ever want to be a professor? I've thought about it many, many times. And yeah, I don't know. I really, really like and enjoy and miss the teaching, like that in-person characteristic. But I also really, really love the flexibility that I have with, being able to create content and be able to like talk with you guys. And I think just, becoming a professor and having, somebody else over, like watching either what I'm doing, like watching over like what I can post and what I can do and stuff like that, like having that kind of, I don't know, bureaucracy or like, boss again. I don't know. I don't know if I might be ready for it, but I do want to kind of continue my math education for sure. So that's definitely something that I want to continue doing. All right, I'll do my best. So Joe says, you say you struggled with math before. Was it due to teaching styles or other reasons? The teachers that I had when I was in high school, I think were good teachers. They obviously were, I think, very much more in like the traditional sense. And I struggled with math. I think definitely partly because of myself. Like I was more focused on just like getting the grade than actually understanding the content. So I was much more focused on like tricks and just, getting the answer quick as possible and not understanding what I need to be doing. And that kind of built up. And then eventually I came to a point where I was like, I don't understand anything. I've gotten B's and C's, but I don't really know what the heck I'm doing. So I definitely say it was on me. And yeah, I don't think I would put any blame on like my education that I had or my teachers. I would definitely place the blame on me. Oh, awesome, Devon. Thank you so much. I was doing terrible now too. The teacher has an off way to put it and she's in there. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out. Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Sweet. Good deal. All right. So let's keep on going through. Oh no. Okay. Somebody posted something and didn't. Oh, I guess I did go through them. Oh, that was Aaron. Oh, okay. So, Casey, you did yours. All right. Thank you. You said 3. You're giving me 3 questions? Casey, you only posted 1. Casey. Oh, log base E squared. I would have to look into that. Use property of logarithm to find the exact value of the expression. Do not use a calculator. Those are good questions, Casey. I would have to. Oh, I mean, 15 is easy. That's -1. Let me see. Log base 2 of 6. And let me Let me check something out real quick. And usually next time, Casey, just so you know, I like these to be submitted ahead of time. So therefore I have time to kind of like look up any other formulas or stuff like that that I want to see. So that's always helpful for me in that case. Okay. Right, that's what I want to do. And log of 8. And that would be gotcha. Okay. I can help you with that. And also I'm curious on this one, so I'm going to take a look at this one as well. All right. Now we got to get some math questions here. Yeah, man, saver for the best years. Well, how so? Well, happy to be able to help you out for sure. All right. And let me look at that. I'd have to go back and research a little bit more on that. I'm sorry. At least on one of these other ones. I'll have to go back and look at this. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll go through them. So in case I'll at least be able to do one. I'd have to go back and review some of the things on logarithms because there's a formula I want to be able to confirm on this. So, all right, let's see if we can. Oh, come on. Let's see how quickly we can. Okay. All right, so the first thing I would recognize in this case is I don't like having this, right? Now I know that this is going to be a 1 over sine, right? And this is going to be a what? Cosine over sine. And again, we can be an x, right? So one thing I would try to do is maybe like, I know if I can rationalize the denominator here, that can create the difference of 2 squares. What am I doing? All right, so if I do that, I'm going to have a, let's just write a tangent of x times a secant of x minus 1. And then over here, I'm going to have a secant squared of x minus 1. Now, again, remember, we have the sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x is equal to 1, right? So if you were to divide by everything by cosine, you would have a tangent squared of x plus 1 equals a secant squared of x. So subtract 1, subtract 1. Tangent squared of x is equal to a secant squared of x minus 1. So what is secant squared of x equal to? Tangent, right? Okay, that's good. So now I have a tangent of x times a secant of x minus 1 all over a tangent squared of x. Well, now, you can see that the tangent of x and the square, those are going to divide out. And now let's go ahead and write everything in terms of sines and cosines. So secant is 1 over a cosine of x minus 1 all over a sine of x all over a cosine of x. Now, if I want to get rid of this sine of x over cosine of x in my denominator, what I'm going to do is multiply by the reciprocal. So I'll multiply by cosine of x over a sine of x, cosine of x over a sine of x. Okay, make sure you just multiply it by times both things. Now again here, what that's going to do is that's going to divide out. Cosine of x times sine of x over 1 over cosine of x is going to be 1 over a sine of x, which is cosecant. And then cosine of x over sine of x is going to be over to it's a cotangent of x. Shoot, let me just write it like that, which is a cosine of x over sine of x, which you can see is exactly what we have here on the right-hand side. So it's now verified. A certain line has a slope of 3 and contains the point negative 5, 0. Which of the following points are on the same line? All right, so if we have a point and a slope, I guess we can figure out what the y-intercept is, right? So we have y minus a y1 equals a m times x minus x1. So we have y minus, so let's call this x1 and y1. So we have 0 equals a 3, so my slope, times x minus a negative 5. Okay, so therefore I have y equals a 3, that's a times an x plus 5. So y equals a 3x plus a 15. So if it's on the line, that means it's going to satisfy this equation, right? So now all we're simply going to do is plug in these points into this equation. So let's try it. So negative 12 equals a 3 times negative 9 plus 15. Well, this is going to be what, a negative 27, right? Plus 15 is negative 12. Right, that one works. What about this one? Negative 3 equal, negative 3 is equal to a 3 times negative 6 plus 15. So 3 times negative 6 is going to be a negative 18, plus 15 is a negative 3. So that one works. What about positive 6 is equal to a negative 3, 3 times negative 3 plus 15. 3 times negative 3 is going to be a negative 9. Negative 9 plus 15 is going to be a 6. 6 equals 6, so that one works. And then let's do a negative 15 is equal to a 3 times 0 plus 15. And I'm not seeing that one working at all, right? Because that'd be negative 15 equals 15. That's not going to work. Where'd my questions go? There you go. I'll get to some of you guys' questions in just a second. I got to get to Casey's at least one math problem, and then I'll finish up with some of you guys' questions you guys have. All right, so Casey has a great question. So log base 2 of 6 times a log base 6 of 8. Okay, so so the thing we're going to want to do here, Casey, because we can't apply the properties of logarithms here, you can't apply them when you don't have the same base, right? One thing you can do though is we can go ahead and apply the change of base formula. So I can use, it doesn't matter if you can use, I actually always like to use ln. So let's do ln of 6 all over an ln of 2 times a ln of 8 all over an ln of 6. Now, hopefully here you recognize that, oh, these are the exact same. No, I want a different color. These are the exact same in your numerator and your denominator. So now that's going to leave me with a ln of 8 all over a ln of 2. Okay. Now, again, we can simplify. We can only apply like division property if the arguments are the same, right? Now they have the same base, but the arguments need to be the same. Well, again, remember, you can rewrite a 8 as a 2 cubed. So this is ln of 2 cubed to ln of 2. Now you can bring that 3, bring that in front. And now the ln's are going to divide out. And you're just going to be left with a 3. So there you go. So again, I knew I couldn't apply I couldn't multiply them, right? I can't do anything. So the only thing I can think about is like, what is one thing I could do, right? Because it says use the properties of logarithms. So that's what you're going to want to relate to is like, what properties of logarithms could you use then to understand and to understand from that problem. All right, so let me go and get to a couple other questions, and then let's wrap this one up. Okay, so I like looking at the screen here. Cool. John, that's an interesting question. Man, how does it feel to have helped so many people? I know there's so many people out there who would have passed without your videos. Thank you. You're very welcome. And that is really touching. It is really weird. It is, I don't know. I never had a site to create math videos to like help so many people out with their math. I did create math videos to help people learn math, to be short and to the point, not to take like 5 hours explaining a math problem. But it really is touching. It really does make me feel really good and motivated to keep on making content, to keep obviously I stepped away from the classroom, but what am I doing? I'm still making math videos. I'm showing up live every other week because I am really passionate about helping you guys. And it really is from you guys letting me know how much my math videos have been able to help you out in your own situation. So it is very inspiring, and it is a fuel that continues to drive me to this day. So thank you. It's all right. Trig is going to get you though. So be careful. Like calc is that trig and that algebra is something that can definitely catch up on you. So I would highly recommend, one thing I always mention with my students is like, don't feel bad. Like go back over those, those old, skills and just practice some extra problems, spiral review that stuff, very lightly. Just a little bit of review can do a whole bunch to be able to really help you out with your math. So I would highly recommend brushing up on those skills, because that is where students usually get stuck, is the trig and the algebra, not so much the calc too. What up, Gavin? I mean, I never took a computer science course or whatever else, and I really don't know much about computer science. So hopefully somebody in computer science can maybe give you some better insight for that. I would definitely say algebra 2, I think, is harder. Yeah. I am very stressed right now. I have around 20 days to submit midterm marks for 2 courses. I barely started yet, and I must get 90s to be satisfied. Never had so much anxiety in my life. Advice. I think the best thing you need to do is you need to map out what you're capable of doing, how much you're capable of doing it, and when you're capable of doing it. It's a lot of stress. Like, of course it is, right? So the only thing you're going to be able to do is a couple things. You got to take action. You can't just sit here. And I'm really happy that you wrote down that question, because you should be starting now, like tonight. Like get off the stream and start to work. Like every day, tomorrow, you're getting to work, right? Now, again, I don't want to put like the emphasis on just doing things, like map it out, see what's capable, and when you're going to do it, how often you're going to do it. And I think when you have a plan and then just follow through on that plan, then it's going to give you a little bit more certainty in what you need. I think a lot of your anxiety right now is the uncertainty. So really try to map things out so you know what to expect, but then also take action. Don't sit back and just let life, let life come into you. Like you got to take control of this situation. And I believe in you, and I wish you all the best. Well, awesome, Black Frosty. So I hope to help you out. I'm going to have a chance to be in Dreamy Heresy. Joe said, did you initially begin the channel just for your students or just to help everybody in general? So yeah, I started my channel back in 2010, and this idea of like people all over the world would be watching my videos and actually getting help was not something that I looked at. I don't even think the partner program was something I even knew about, where I could even get paid on YouTube. I literally just wanted to start creating content, so therefore my students could go home if they missed class or they didn't understand something. They could go home and watch the video. And that's why I just became like relentless with recording all of my videos, all the problems that I solved every single day and posting them on YouTube. Like that's why I did what I did. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I had a little understanding of like wanting to put content out to help other people, but initially it was definitely just to help my own students. What college did I go to and what was my major? So I went to Western Michigan University and I majored in education with an emphasis in mathematics. So I basically got my mathematics degree. Like I covered all the courses I needed, but it was like an education kind of realm in that case. And then I got a minor for my minor emphasis that I had was in political science. So there's a whole video of like me doing all these different minors and stuff like that. But yeah, it was like a minor in political science. Well, Swift, of course you're going to fail. You can't think like that taking the test. Come on. You got to be confident. I know calc can be difficult. I know math can be difficult, right? But give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. Do whatever you can do to cram for tonight. Relearn as much stuff, like study up, and maybe you might not get an A, maybe not get a B, a C, maybe it's just a D, right? But own what you need to own, right? Take control, take ownership of, whatever actions or whatever taking place that you can, right? And don't dwell on the stuff that you can't take ownership of, right? So things that, have happened or reasons why, what else, like if you can't control it, then don't let it overwhelm you, but be confident, do the best you can do tomorrow, and then move on. Don't let this grade or this class define you. Try to do better the next one, and then the next one. Don't try. Do better the next time, okay? I'm so frustrated with my homework right now. I know, I get it. I've been frustrated with homework for many, many times. Maybe I should combine math with sports, help me memorize 40 times faster. Oh, that's not a bad idea. I like that. Thank you, Benny. Here. Well, absolutely. Happily. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I'm really happy that anything that I said was beneficial to you. So, all right, guys, I'm going to log up. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Cheers.